Taylormade M5 and M6 irons. Speed bridge included. Let's do it, and let's do it now. Then you hit that one and you just think, yes, yes. Hi everyone, James Robinson here. If you're new to the channel and this is your first time watching my content, first of all, welcome. I'm really pleased to have you here. Second of all, make sure you consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. On this channel, I bring you guys daily golf related content that includes club reviews, it includes free golf tips, it includes course vlogs to help you raise your game, lower your handicap, and just enjoy your golf a little bit more. In today's video, we have the brand new Taylormade M5 and M6 irons. Now, these are more game improver irons. However, the M5 look pretty good and pretty sleek. Let's first of all talk you through the technology of them, then we'll hit some shots. I'll talk you through the sound, the feel. That's a big point in this year's clubs, and we're also going to look at the numbers and see just how far they go. In today's video, there's a lot of shots to hit and a lot of tech to talk you through, so I'm going to do it all at the same time rather than just sectioning the video off. Oh. Now, I'm well aware that the M6 especially is a distance iron. It's low lofted. I'm going to run all the lofts alongside the bottom of the screen now, so if you're interested in that, take a look at that. We also have the speed bridge in the back of the head. Speed bridge is designed to connect the top of the club with the bottom of the club to stop the top line vibrating and to dampen those vibrations. That's going to improve sound, improve feel, and improve stability throughout the shot. When I tested last year's M4 and M3 irons, they went a long way, but in fairness, they felt terrible and they sounded even worse. So it's great to see Taylormade address the sound and the feel element of the irons. In the irons, we also have the fluted hosel that allows Taylormade to save weight in the head and distribute it where they want it to, low, so you can lower the centre of gravity, you can take spin off these irons, you can basically get them to go a heck of a long way, which is what I'm seeing here. Going to be really interested to look at all the numbers and see just how the M6 compares with the M5. I would imagine these will be about a club longer, I would think. So just as you would imagine with the M5 and the M6 irons, the M6 is much bigger, the M5 is smaller, it has a chamfered leading edge, it has a thinner top line, it just looks that little bit sleeker. If I had to play one of these clubs, just by the looks, it would definitely be the M5. I think I'd really struggle to game the M6, they are quite big. However, they still sound a lot better than last year's M4. I suppose it's got to be down to this little kind of bridge here. Speed bridge we'll call it. Now, if you are looking for a game improver iron that looks a little bit smaller and sleeker, the M5 does include a tungsten insert in there just to make it that little bit more forgiving, so it does look smaller, look sleeker, but still packed with technology for forgiveness on off-centre hits. Both clubs have what Taylormade are describing as an ultra-thin unsupported face and a much more aggressive speed pocket in the bottom to allow that face to flex more and just basically give you a little bit more distance. Let's move down to the M5 8 iron. Remember, I've got 4 iron, 8 iron and 6 iron, and we'll take a look at the numbers. So I'm really interested about this speed bridge. What does it remind you of? It reminds me of something... Jailbreak? No. The technologies do sound very similar though, don't they? Connecting the top of the club with the bottom of the club for more stable impact, better sound, better feel. It's definitely working with these clubs. These feel and sound way better than the M3, M4 irons. If you watch my review on those, I will actually post that above. They went okay, but I was really disappointed with how they felt. I must say actually, this M5 8 iron, I could play this. Now there is one massive elephant in the room here, and it's not a speed bridge. In fact, it's not even the M5 or M6 iron. It's the P730, the P750, the P790. They are all fantastic irons. Is there a place in the market for the M5 and M6 irons, or is it just a marketing tool to go with the drivers and the fairways and the hybrids? Comment below, what do you think? I've now got the M6 4-iron and it looks huge. Actually, off camera for a second there, I picked up the M6 6-iron thinking it was the 4-iron. So that tells you a little bit about how lofted these are. Now I'm expecting this to go a long way. And it does. It's funny, with swapping between the M6 and the M5 irons, the M6 don't feel quite as nice as the M5 to me, but obviously the M6 iron isn't aimed at me, is it? Oh my gosh. I mean, it'd be okay off a tee of like a really long par 5. I think one thing's for sure, if you do struggle with distance and you're wanting something that doesn't sound and feel like a brick wall anymore, these are going to be better, definitely. I mean, that is, yeah. Let's see if you still get the workability with the M6. Obviously this club's all about forgiveness. Let's see if I can play a nice subtle draw with this one. It's trying, started left. You know what, that didn't feel too bad. Still feels a touch dead, but better than last year's. Okay, let's go M5 4-iron, and straight away looking down at this, it just looks, there's nowhere near as much offset, much sleeker looking. I can't see the speed bridge in the back, whereas with the M6 you can visibly see the speed bridge in the back from address with the long irons. That would put me off. Now we will come to the numbers at the end, but the M5 is definitely giving me a little bit more spin as well, which I like to see. That's really going to help me remain in control of the shot a little bit more. Oh. Now this is going to be really interesting because I have hit a few mishits with both these clubs, and I'm really actually quite excited to see what the numbers say and if the M6 is way more forgiving than the M5 counterpart. I've just mishit a 4-iron there and it's 20 yards short of the good hits. I mean, it's still pretty much up there with my normal 4-iron, but yeah. Oh. I tell you what though, if you could bottle that with a 4-iron, lovely big high fade, just landing nice and soft, spinning at 3.5. Okay, I'm going to go one more with the 4-irons, then we're going to move down to the 6s, then we'll take a look at the numbers. Yeah, another miss hit and it's just dropped again, 10, 15, 20 yards. Still arrow straight though. Wish I could bottle that dispersion with a 4-iron. Okay, we'll go M5 6-iron first because I'm kind of setting in the mood for the M5 after those 4-irons. Looking down, you know, this, it looks good. It doesn't look overpowering and massive. I can see this suiting. I can actually really see this appealing to like a mid-handicapper who wants that small, sleeker look at address, still wants that little bit of offset, but actually wants the distance, the power iron, but doesn't want them to look massive in the bag. You'll know who you are if you're out there, and comment below. Maybe go and give these a try. I mean, that's just silly long though, isn't it? I know I pulled it, but come on. The worrying element here for me would be getting used to the distances and just having that low spin one that maybe goes too far, and then the missed strike doesn't go anywhere near as far. But then you hit that one and you just think, yes, yes. Now before we even look at the numbers, I'll tell you now, the M5 for me has been way more consistent than the M6. Okay, so just before we have a full roundup and take a look at all the numbers and see just how far these bad boys have gone, let's hit 5 shots with the M6 6-iron, that's hard to say. Let's see how far it goes, let's see how it feels compared to the M5 6-iron I've just hit. I didn't mind that. One thing that I think I have to get through to you guys is if I would have done this test last year with M3, M4 irons, I couldn't have hit the number of shots I've hit. I'd have a headache by now because they sounded so loud, and to be honest I wouldn't have enjoyed it. I've not minded this today, I've quite enjoyed it. I can hit these as there's pleasure in hitting them, which hats off to Taylormade for managing to do that, because anybody who's after buying a distance iron, you will know it's hard to get one that feels good and sounds particularly good. So M6 6-iron. Now interestingly, I can see a lot of people, a lot of beginners taking these clubs up. Maybe a businessman who's just starting to play golf, he wants the latest set, he wants them to look good in the bag. Money's not really an issue, and he just wants that forgiveness. These will do the job. Now one thing's a definite, with these M6 irons I definitely find myself getting lazy with the swing. I don't feel like I'm putting the effort in to produce as good a swing as I can, and I know that's terribly unprofessional, but just looking down at it, I don't feel like I need to. Whew. So guys, that's 5 shots hit with the Taylormade M5 and M6, 4-iron, 6-iron and 8-iron. Let's take a look at the numbers. I would imagine, looking at the loft differences and the size of the head differences, the M6 is going to be a more powerful iron, it is going to go further. But let's take a look, and you guys take a look at these numbers and see maybe which ones will get in your bag. So to start off with, let's have a look at the dispersions, as I always like to. M6 6-iron, all moving left to right, which is quite nice. M5 4-iron, I was really impressed with that. M6 4-iron, not too bad. You notice that it goes a lot higher than the M5. Obviously people wanting to get that trajectory high. M5 8-iron, M6 8-iron, so that comes out a lot lower. So we'll start with the 8-irons. M5 8-irons, distance wise with these irons it's massive, to be fair, but I was impressed with the consistency of these. All fairly consistent. Average distance 166, which is a long way for me. 8-iron for me is usually a 155 club, so it's 10 yards further than I would expect. And I would imagine moving on to the M6 8-iron, even more. Average distance 171, so 5 yards further, pretty much as I would absolutely expect there. Spinning at 6.4, so not too bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, that is low for an 8-iron, but it's not as low as maybe I would have expected. The M5 8-iron spinning at 6.9, so again a little bit more control, more down my ballpark. So remember, we're on the M5 8-iron here, what ball speeds are we creating? All around the 115s, maybe just over. That's going to average at about 117. Ball speed average with the M6 8-iron, 118, so a mile an hour quicker. Obviously with lower spin is going to equate to more distance. But what about the 6-irons, you ask, James? M5 6-iron here, distances, well, 200 yards, anyone? Average 196. Long way, but I mean, you're probably sick of hearing me saying that, so I'm going to stop piping on that tune now. 196 average, spinning at 4.8. So again, that's low. I think anywhere around 5.5 would be better with these irons. I mean, 6 would be ideal, but not necessarily with the Game Improver distance iron. The M6 6-iron spinning a little bit lower, as again we would imagine, and distance 196. So M6 6-iron 196, M5 6-iron exactly the same, just a 1 yard difference there in carry. What about the big boys, the 4-irons? M5 4-iron, oh yeah, I could hit that off a couple of tees, no problem at all. Distance 221, so not a huge difference in distance from the 6-iron there. That would be a little bit worrying, but again, it's only 5 shots, isn't it? Spinning at 3.2, so again, just short of where we wanted. Actually, not bad at all. That could be a lot lower for the club in question. M6 4-iron, distances again, just absolutely huge, to be fair. 2.22, so not a huge difference again in distance, 1 yard in the long irons, spinning at 3.2 as opposed to, well, spinning exactly the same, I'm going to call that, and ball speeds all around the kind of 130 mark, couple higher, couple lower, averaging at 134 as opposed to the M5 averaging at 133. So what do we make of the Taylormade M5 and M6 irons? Just a side note, I did have the sand wedges in both sets as well, but I really didn't think you'd be bothered about the data on the flight scope from the sand wedge, so maybe we'll include that in an on-course video. But for me, the massive elephant in the room, and I touched on it earlier, I don't see a massive place for these. And don't get me wrong, if you're in the market for them, fantastic. They're good clubs at what they're trying to do. The speed bridge is a great idea for making the club sound and feel better. I enjoyed it. I didn't mind hitting them, whereas last year with the M3, M4, I couldn't have hit as many shots as I've hit. I'd have got bored. I would have got headache from the sound and the feel. So in that case, it's a definite improvement from last year. Are they as good as the P790? That's what I've got to ask myself, because if you're a Taylormade fan and you're wanting Taylormade irons, are you going to go down the route of this? The way I see these going is rental sets, is like I said, people who are new to golf and they want a full matching set of M6s, which I've fitted people for in the past because that is exactly what they want. Branding's a big thing, and I think for me these just go down that route a little bit. They go down the route of people who want a full matching set, which is great. But for me, if I was in the market for a set of irons similar to these, I would be looking at the P790s all day long, purely because they're a little bit softer and they're a little bit better at what they do. Nevertheless, that doesn't make these a bad iron. So for me, if I had to choose one, it would be the M5. I think it looks a lot smaller, it looks a lot sleeker, it just looks nicer to look at, nicer to hold, feels a little bit nicer. Distance-wise, I was quite surprised in that, yes, with big distance difference in the 8 iron, but as soon as we went further up the set, they sort of matched each other out. There was 1 yard in it, some of them were the same. So if you're looking for greater distance, don't straight away jump into the M6. The M5 still has that power, still has that forgiveness on off-centre hits. I haven't struck all those absolutely perfectly, so it is really interesting to see how close those numbers match up. Guys, if you've enjoyed that, make sure you go check out the review of the drivers, the 3-woods, the hybrids. If you've really enjoyed that, make sure you go check out my website, www.jamesrobinsongolf.com, for all your online lesson needs. Put the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. That's been a long one today, hasn't it? See you soon.